March is kinda my jam. It's my birth month, it's my wedding anniversary, it's spring break, it's St. Patrick's Day, which is also my birthday. But you know what's best of all those things? Video games are in full swing. Sorry, babe. We played some Wild Hearts here or there, we've played some Sons of the Forest, we've played some Diablo 4, we played Exoprimal, we played WoLong Fallen Dynasty, we even reviewed Patch Quest, more on that indie gem later. So if you're like us and feeling a little overwhelmed on what games to know about for you and your friends, you've come to the right place, where we talk about all the co-op games that came out last month, what co-op games are coming out in the next month, and any co-op news in between. That's right, it's the Co-op Monthly for March. We've got a stacked video, so let's get started.
Stacked is an understatement, bro. We got so many games to talk about, so I'm just gonna shut it and get this co-op roundup started. A year after the excellent Witch Queen expansion, Destiny has released Lightfall, its 80s inspired follow-up. Did it live up to the new high bar? Yeah, that's a hard no. Lightfall currently sits at a 71 OpenCritic rating, and it is the first expansion to be labeled as mostly negative on Steam. It's a bummer to see Destiny flounder after the highs of Witch Queen, but here's hoping they're able to land the plane once the Final Shape expansion comes out next year. If you've been keeping up with our videos, then you've likely seen our recent Patch Quest review. We love this little indie game, and it makes me really happy to see it get an 80 OpenCritic score, as well as its overwhelmingly positive praise on Steam. This is a crazy mix of genres, including Metroidvania, bullet hell, and even a dash of Pokemon. It's a local co-op gen that we highly recommend, but if you don't believe us, maybe you'll trust Polygon's Johnny Yu, who said, "It's impressive, especially for a game developed by a single person, how many desperate genres and how many distinct gameplay loops Patch Quest manages to juggle, without letting a single one fall. It may be a Pokemon Castlevania Binding of Isaac Enter the Gungeon smoothie, but it's a smoothie I plan on ordering time and time again. I couldn't have said it better myself, Johnny." We mentioned King of the Castle last month because it seemed like a really interesting take on the party game formula, and it seems like my hunch was right. King of the Castle currently sits at a very positive user rating from Steam, and while it only has one review on OpenCritic, it is a 5 out of 5 coming from Thumb Culture. At a $5 price point, it looks like a great option for a weekend game night, especially since anyone with a phone can join in. We played a little bit of WoLong Fallen Dynasty in online co-op around release time and had a blast with the game. It seems like we weren't the only ones, as the game ended up with an 81 on OpenCritic. If you're able to get past the insanely hard first boss fight, the general consensus seems to be that Team Ninja has created yet another engrossing action RPG, which takes more inspiration from Sekiro than the Dark Souls franchise. So we joked about DC's Justice League Cosmic Chaos last month, but what I didn't expect is the game to actually be pretty good. A 78 on OpenCritic is nothing to scoff at, so I promise I'll never joke about a DC game again, no matter how cute it looks. For a lighthearted couch co-op game, this looks like a great option for both families or die-hard DC fans, I guess. We don't usually cover ports in this section, but this one seemed too big not to. Valheim has finally made its way to Xbox and therefore Game Pass, even if it's still in early access. We still have yet to play it. I know, there's something very wrong with us. For now, we won't have an OpenCritic score until it's fully released, but over at the Xbox store, Valheim is sitting at an average of 4 out of 5 stars, with 61% of people voting it a 5 out of 5. Not surprised in the slightest, as we all know Valheim is an excellent survival co-op game, and hopefully it fully releases this year for your boys to finally hop in. If you're a fan of Stardew Valley, but maybe wanted a little more out of the combat, then Sunhaven is the game for you. Sunhaven is essentially Stardew Valley, but with much more RPG elements thrown in the mix, and it features 8-player online co-op. I wasn't able to find many reviews for it right now, seems like it's flying relatively under the radar, save for the nearly 4,000 players on Steam who helped Sunhaven achieve that very positive user rating. Cheers to the team behind Sunhaven on that. Buildest hit the Steam store on the 24th, launching onto early access. If you don't remember, this is that Overcooked-like online co-op game for architecture nerds. Only has a few reviews on Steam, but they all seem relatively positive. I've seen some complaints about UI and general bugs, but hey, that's early access for ya. If architecture is very much your thing, then it might be worth diving into this one early. We haven't covered a total flop just yet, so why don't we change that with crime boss Rockay City. The Payday like that released just a couple days ago has not seen a great reception, with an outlet like Screen Rant giving it a 2.5 out of 5. Yikes. No open critic score just yet, but it's sitting at a 55 on Metacritic, with many outlets saying that the writing is very cringe and the gameplay systems just aren't up to snuff. It seems like you're better off playing Payday 2, at least until Payday 3 finally releases. Here comes the second of 3 Overcooked-like games we'll be covering here today, more on that later. We have Innchanted, which came out on the 28th. In this one, you get to run a magical inn where you can cook and fight enemies, and while we haven't seen enough reviews of it just yet, one glowing review from the site Lady Gamers highly recommends it per their review, but caution that it might be best played in local co-op as there appears to be some issues with the online mode. Go check out their review if you want to know more about Innchanted.
Before I started writing this section of the monthly, I was convinced April was going to be a break in games. For co-op, it is not. Let me tell you why. Meet Your Maker is that sort of asymmetrical game where you make levels for other players and therefore try to beat the levels made by other players. Think Mario Maker, but first person and way more violent. Except Mario Maker is kind of violent when you think about it. And you guessed it, you can both make and take on levels in 2-player online co-op. Since Meet Your Maker did come out yesterday, it does already have some reviews. It's sitting at a 75 on OpenCritic, but we're really going to wait for those user reviews because this is user-generated content, and that'll really determine how well this game does. Here's one we've had circled on our calendars. Ravenswatch hits early access on the 6th for PC, and we could not be more excited. They recently put out a big gameplay overview trailer to check out, but the summary is it's an action roguelite where you play as classic fantasy characters like Aladdin or the Pied Piper, each with their own unique abilities. The game features 4-player online co-op and will be in early access for about a year, which will include the whole first chapter, with 2 more chapters coming with the 1.0. We are planning on playing and covering this shortly after launch, so maybe subscribe if you want to hear more about it later. One title that got some early reviews that we can cover here was Curse of the Sea Rats. Unfortunately, that is not necessarily a good thing. Sitting at a measly 65 on OpenCritic, this did not hit as well as we had hoped for. For the most part, it just kind of sounds like an average Metroidvania that is better with friends, but is being held back by some technical issues. So hopefully, if they can clear that up and you can find some rat-loving homies, it can eventually be a good time. We'll update you next month with some user reviews. Wartales is coming out of early access until 1.0 on the 12th and has definitely enjoyed some positive buzz leading up to the launch. A 90% very positive with thousands of votes on Steam bodes well, and its unique gameplay immediately catches my eye. An open-world ARPG set in a harsh medieval environment that includes 4-player online co-op, definitely one to keep your eye on after we hopefully get some critic reviews to support all the love it's gotten from the fans. Voodolls looks to scratch that co-op tower defense itch you've been having, all in a bright and colorful voodoo doll world. Words you wouldn't typically associate with voodoo dolls. Each doll has specific abilities and roles to play, and there are your typical tower defense turrets to strategize around. This comes out in full on the 13th with 4-player online co-op for PC only. One of the bigger releases of the month is Minecraft's latest genre twist in Minecraft Legends. This is a strategic PvE cooperative or PvP competitive game featuring 4 players online, depending on your game mode choice. I'm at a loss for words on how to describe this. It looks like you're traveling an overworld and taking over territory from your foes. Look, I don't really know any Minecraft terminology. I know there's some green creepers and a slinky dark block guy. I don't know. Safe to say I missed the boat on Minecraft. But maybe Legends pulls me in when it launches on PC, Switch, and both generations on Xbox and PlayStation consoles on the 18th. Okay, here's one more my speed. Eresys is a brand new online 4-player co-op horror survival game. I have played plenty of those against my will. This one looks especially dark and creepy, sporting a hardcore HP Lovecraft vibe. Honestly, I'm just going to call it how I see it. This is The Forest, but with a whole lot of green monsters instead of cannibals. And that is definitely going to be for some people out there. You can see how it fares on the 20th of this month, exclusively on PC. Dead Island 2 is finally here, and in case you were still worried about a delay, I can assure you it is ready to release. Several outlets got hands-on with it earlier this month, and yeah, the game is in fact playable. How well does it play, you might ask? Well, the general consensus is if you like the first Dead Island back on your 360 when you were in 7th grade, and for whatever reason envy those times in your life, this is still for you. Hack and slash away in 3-player online co-op on the 21st. Rounding out March, we got 2 smaller titles that piqued my interest, starting with Roots of Pacha. You like Stardew Valley, but caveman? You like Pacha! Oh, it's been a long week. This is a 4-player online farming sim where you tame the earth in the early days, including the plants and the animals, looks cute and fills a Stardew Valley void, comes out on the 25th exclusively on PC. I'm finishing with Trinity Trigger out on the 25th because I just can't think of any classic high fantasy JRPGs that were 3-player local co-op. Comment below if I'm wrong, but that just feels rare, so Trinity Trigger might be for those of you who always wanted it. This trailer reaffirms every JRPG trope. I mean, there's even a crystal as a feature at one point. We'll see if it can stand apart with that co-op twist after some reviews at the end of the month when it releases on PC, Switch, and PlayStation consoles. Psych, you thought that was the last co-op game releasing in April, but editing Andrew from the future saw that Arc Runners just received a release date trailer for the 27th of April. It's an action roguelite that, like me, is set in a cyberpunk-style future. You can play with 3 buddies in online co-op with 3 playable classes, the soldier, ninja, and hacker, to differentiate your playstyles. Expect it on all major consoles barring the Switch.
On to our news portion here, and we have a slightly different structure going forward. For this month, I'll be covering updates on release titles, Andrew will hit us with updates on upcoming titles before I wrap things up with any new game announcements, so you know what, let's get to it. Starting things off with the only update that matters, Elden Ring's upcoming DLC was finally revealed, and it's called Shadow of the Erdtree. We only got a tweet reveal, and curiously, the tweet states the new update is currently in development. Does that mean it'll be released this year? Does that mean it'll be released next year? Tough to say, but I choose to put out only the good vibes into this world, so I'm manifesting that it comes out this year. If you're sad that we aren't playing or covering WoLong Fallen Dynasty, then you have Wild Hearts to blame because we're absolutely obsessed with this game. And it looks like we'll have more to obsess over post-campaign as new content was released this month and more is on the way. This month we got 2 new volatile variants, some new quests, and some new armor. Next month we'll get 2 brand new kimonos as well as a new katakuri. Can't wait to see them add a new weapon and what else they can come up with. If they can keep up this pace, then I don't know if we'll ever put Wild Hearts down. A couple of smaller updates for you real quick. Temtem Season 3 kicked off a couple weeks ago and brought with it a handful of modes like a speedrun mode and a Pokemon inspired Nuzlocke mode. Glad to see this game continues to grow and be inspired by Pokemon while also blazing its own trail. Our best co-op game of 2022 winner, V Rising, is getting a huge update this May titled Secrets of Gloomrot, and it looks very cool. As you can guess, this new update unveils the new Gloomrot area, which is set to be twice the size of the starter area. Happy to see the team continue to work towards that 1.0 release date, and you already know we'll be diving back in to see all the new things once it's complete. Hot on the heels of its 5th anniversary, Warhammer Vermintide 2 received a free DLC update titled Tower of Treachery on the 28th. This new update cuts off the Treachery saga that started last year and brings with it a new mission and zone among other things. Crazy to see the amount of support this game has gotten. Hopefully Darktide will see the same amount of love and attention once its optimization issues are squared away. Here's a little port announcement for ya. Remnant from the Ashes is finally making its way to the little console that could, the Nintendo Switch. From what I've read, the game is running fine on the console, but I've seen complaints that the Joy-Con controls aren't great and that the internal speaker doesn't do the game justice. Still, playing a great co-op roguelike like this on the go is a fair trade, just bust out that Pro Controller instead. Let's round things out here with a Dying Light 2 update we received courtesy of the Future Game Showcase. The new update, which launches on April 20th, will feature enhancements to combat and finally a transmog system. During the showcase, Techland also teased their next DLC, which is likely to come out sometime this year.
Every developer in the business decided to use March as a free marketing springboard early in the year to get their game in the hands of the people. A nice gesture I normally appreciate. But considering just how many previews we got from major outlets, I'm going to give you the one sentence TLDR, bear with me. Turns out Far Cry, with an arcane twist, is better than most expected, and it's going to have crossplay between Xbox consoles and PC. Remnant 2 continues to evolve the original title's best systems, specifically the different level pathing and the great class customization. The release window was announced for summer 2023. Wayfinder is a love letter to MMORPGs of old, but might do enough to bring it into the modern era to compete with the entrenched competition. Exoprimal is still totally whack, but people, including Gabe, think it plays well after the exclusive beta and are praising its decision to release day one to Game Pass on July 14th. Diablo 4 continues to wow everyone who plays it, including ya boys, parentheses, more on that later if you subscribe in parentheses, despite open beta server issues and KFC abominations. Endless Dungeon has tightened enough screws, added enough classes, and hammered down solid upgrades that have IGN's Travis Northrop excited for the final release this May. Atlas Fallen is an actual game that actually has co-op, and according to previews, actually might be good. Okay, I just gotta break the rules and just say, did anyone know that this was in co-op? Because I didn't, and I almost always know this stuff. I mean, it is practically my job. Someone has failed on the marketing team over at Focus Entertainment, and I'm sorry, but you guys need to step it up. Okay, with that out of the way, you might have noticed a few release date announcements in my sentences, specifically for Remnant 2 in the summer, and Exoprimal planting its flag on July 14th. But we got several more release dates to fill out the calendar that I'll knock out real quick. Outlast Trials, the surprising left turn into cooperative survival horror from the series, is going into early access on May 18th, with no mention of a timeline for 1.0. We did preview this, had a great time, and screamed like little girls. Here's a sample. Yeah. Oh my god! Gangs of Sherwood is a 4-player cooperative action game inspired by Robin Hood, but set in a dystopian future. I missed the announcement of this, but the gameplay reveal looks solid enough, if maybe a bit clunky. I'm keen to see more and maybe go hands-on closer to its supposed release window of fall 2023. Glitchbusters, a title we for sure hit in monthlies past, gets a release date of May 23rd, but the gameplay shown in the latest trailer really changed my mind about it. Its main stick, that you stick together, actually looks like a legit mechanic that you can use to your advantage in battle. Maybe we will get hands-on time with it closer to release, who knows. Synced is both a PvP or a PvE match-based game where you team up with 3 others to take on nanotech in the not-so-distant future. From what I can tell, you use the nanotech off of the enemies you beat to upgrade yourself? I don't know. The Steam page doesn't describe it very well, but it's coming out this summer and is smartly a free-to-play title. Go Fight Fantastic is a local or online 3-player hack and slash set in a vibrant interstellar world. We missed the official announcement trailer last year, but wanted to make things right by showing off this new gameplay trailer featuring the different playable characters and their unique movesets. This is a long-running Indiegogo funded title made by just 2 people, so even if the release date was an incredibly vague 2023, it's nice to show them some love. And my time is finally coming to a close by delivering the dreaded delay talk, which a few titles are suffering from. The biggest of all is, you might have guessed it, Suicide Squad, which is reportedly getting delayed. There's been some back and forth on why or how long, and no official word from Rocksteady themselves. We're gonna wait and update you guys once we've heard word from the developers. For now, they're holding steady to a rocky launch date. I will be here all week. Hyper Light Breaker finally showed some footage and hit us with a delay until the fall for early access. It was supposed to be coming this spring, but weirdly it doesn't feel that bad because just look at this. This is everything I'd ever want out of a video game. More Risk of Rain 2, love to see it. Really pumped to play it. We'll be circling this as soon as we have a firm chance to get our hands on it, again, hopefully in the fall. And finally, our last delay goes to Lightyear Frontier, the open world mech farming game originally planned for around this spring. This is especially tough, not just because the game looks like a good time with up to 3 friends, but because it's delayed indefinitely. We'll be sure to let you know when they found a new time to set their release flag, but until then, we'll all just have to soldier on. Psych, future Andrew is back at it again because it turns out Atlas Fallen, despite the generally positive previews I talked about earlier, is getting delayed until August. Not sure why, but heard about it mid-edit, so here we are. Please continue.
And finally, our last news section in this huge edition of the monthly, let's talk about some exciting announcements. First up is Dark Swarm, which is being published by the new publishing arm of Ghost Ship Games, the team behind Deep Rock Galactic. Dark Swarm is a top-down co-op shooter that can be played in both local and online co-op for up to 4 players. To me, this looks like a top-down Aliens game, and I'm totally here for it. No release date was given, so make sure you wishlist it on Steam to keep up with the title. Rah Boom is a cooperative side-scrolling beat-em-up featuring both online and local co-op for up to 4 players. In it, you play as a group of ninja cheerleaders from space trying to save humanity on Earth. You know, your typical beat-em-up plot. The action looks really fast-paced, and I love how crazy all these different character kits look. We'll definitely be keeping an eye on this one when it comes to Steam sometime this fall. I've said this before, but there's an Overcooked-like party game for just about anything, and if you've wanted one to simulate working as a pit crew, then look no further. Speed Crew is set to release on June 6th for both Switch and PC, and it'll feature both online and local co-op for up to 4 players. Honestly, this looks super fun, so maybe we'll throw up some streams of it come this summer. Okay, you're gonna wanna sit down everyone, because this is a big announcement. Wargroove 2 is happening. So maybe that isn't a big deal to you, but Wargroove is one of our favorite games and we were not expecting a sequel in the slightest. Like the original, you can expect 4-player co-op both locally and online in cooperative and competitive modes. No release date given, but we can probably expect it sometime next year. Another side-scrolling beat-em-up was announced. We're getting a lot more of these. Surely it has something to do with the success of last year's Shredder's Revenge. This time around though, it's Toxic Crusaders, a 4-player local co-op game based on the 1991 classic that neither of us have heard of since we're mid-90s kids. It's coming to all platforms sometime this year. It looks like a ton of fun, and if the gameplay isn't selling it for you, then maybe the song will. If you've ever wanted a co-op game where you and your friends pilot a spaceship as you explore, fight, and loot through the galaxy, then Void Crew is the game for you. It looks pretty cool as every player has a role to play, like piloting the ship, manning the turrets, or performing emergency repairs. Announced exclusively for PC, Void Crew looks to head to Steam sometime this year. Here's a fun one for you. Criminals Within is a co-op only third-person title coming from a first-time developer team with talent from Chivalry 2 and Fable. We love to see co-op only games, especially when they offer both online and local modes. Criminals Within also boasts a Disney-esque look and feel, but promises to feature skill-based combat. Super interested in this one. No release date was given sadly, but we do know it'll come to Steam before it hits consoles. You know, we've gotten games about cats, dogs, a goose, but we've yet to get a game about a possum until now. Pizza Possum is a real game, I assure you, that features an actual possum who is hungry and determined to get some dinner, ideally some pizza. You can play it in local 2-player co-op if you want to increase the already hectic nature of the game. It reminds me a lot of Goose Game's co-op mode and it looks like a ton of fun. No release date was given, but it's coming to all consoles, and now I'll leave you with the game's great tagline. Life is simple when you're a possum. Eat, run, hide, and eat again. Go-Go Town is a new town builder game coming to all platforms in 2024. It'll feature both online and local co-op modes for up to 4 players. I really like the art style here, and it looks like a fairly robust town builder as you have to construct shops, hire staff, manage gardens, and lots more, I'm sure. A demo was shown off at PAX recently, so go check out some impression videos if you're interested. And finally, we've made it to our last news story, and it's a great one to end on. May I introduce you to LEGO 2K Drive. Yeah, this looks awesome. A blend of Forza Horizon and Mario Kart, LEGO 2K Drive features open world exploration, endless ways to customize your cars, and even a story mode. More importantly, it'll also feature online and local co-op. Super stoked to see this announcement, and even more excited that we'll get to play it across every platform when it releases on May 19th.
If you made it this far in the video, I just want to say thank you. This video has been so hard to get out. I actually moved last weekend. I've been sick. It's been really stressful. And so getting this done means a lot to me, and you making it this far in such a long video means so much. So if you liked it, subscribe, share it with a friend. I don't have a script here. I just wanted to say thank you. We really appreciate all the comments we get. We just hit 25K, and every little comment you guys say about us making it one day or whatever, it means a ton. So have a great rest of your month. We'll see you next time on another episode of The Co-op Bros.